can run away. You and me, we can run away. Run away, run away. You and me, we can run away. You and me, we can run away. You would never stay for someone that wasn't worth the wait. Counting down the days. I know when I'm moving onward, I just wanna trust in your word, but we're running out of time. We were doing alright, holding on, but I'm losing the fight. Could we run away? I know if we just hit ground, running, closing off all the world in the light coming in, bending before we break. Don't you know you and me, we can run away. You and me, we can run away. Run away, run away. Check. You and me, we can run away. You and me, we can run away. And it feels so good. And it feels so good. And it feels so Standing in the cold, cold rain, I don't even feel the pain. Anything to step away. I know we could both do better. Wish you would've left me here. Now I'm just controlled by fear. What's the point in our reflection if you never look in the mirror? Counting the days until you're gone, waiting for us to carry on. Oh, I'm running, what am I running from? Time's going by, but where's the time going? I tried to give you everything, you took it all and took it for granted. If you're still falling out of love, maybe it's 'cause it's not enough. Maybe it's not enough, baby. I don't wanna lose you after all that we've been through. If you could change my mind, I would do it in a heartbeat. That's if you really love me. Setting fire to my brain, wondering how I'm to blame. You're the one who doesn't dream, so why are you always sleeping? I remember when you said you're afraid of what's ahead. What happened to ride or die? I asked and you just start crying. How are you acting so surprised? Haven't you seen it in my eyes? Oh, I'm running, what am I running from? Time's going by, but where's the time going? I tried to give you everything. You took it all and took it for granted. If you're still falling out of love, maybe it's 'cause I'm not enough. Maybe it's not enough. Baby, I don't wanna lose you after all that we've been through. If you could change my mind, I would do it in a heartbeat. That's if you really love me. I would do it in a heartbeat. That's if you really love me. I would do it in a heartbeat. That's if you really love me. Baby, can you pray tonight? Baby, can you pray for us? Oh, baby, can you pray? 'Cause every time you make time, it's only to the end. So pray tonight. So you won't for every run that we had, turn around and not do it. But I'll be ready every day, know everything's alright. Are you gonna pray? Are you gonna pray tonight? Baby, pray for me and for us. Baby, pray for me and for us. Baby, pray for me and for us. Gotta pray for me and for us. Baby, pray for me and for us. Baby, pray for me and for us. Baby, can you pray tonight? Baby, can you pray for us? Oh, baby, can you pray? 'Cause every time you make time, it's only to the end. So pray tonight. choice like you.
Let's go. Just like you, no, I always want stripes like you, oh, I always want stripes like you, Let's go.
hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go.
Through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go. Through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
To find love, but the road is elastic. To find love, and she knows that I gotta be trusted. To find love, but the road is elastic. To find love, and she knows that I gotta be trusted. To find love.
Don't
hard, but it's what we do. Take it to the top. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Increasing my strength when I remember myself. Life can be hard, but it's what we do. Take it to the top. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We are not alone. There's more to life than this. Show me what you know. Take me to that place. I'm stuck within these walls. I need a quick escape. You know where I can go. Take me to that place. in my arms. I think that you should know that together we belong. You are not with all the time. I can play, can leave it some. Go, 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 go. Forever's cool down the beat.
Welcome to the Crypto Lamb Talk Show with your hosts, Andy and Fizz. Be sure to follow and check us out on Twitter.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Lamb Show. We did have a guest lined up for today, but unfortunately, something came up at the last second that he can't be here, unfortunately. And we'll join Priest in just a second and say hello to him. But there is a lot of things going on right now with certain members that have stepped down from the Harmony Core team, for one, which I think is definitely worth talking about. At least a little bit. China have launched missiles over Taiwan. That's not good. And they've also started deploying military assets in the direction of Taiwan, which is not fantastic. A lot of people saying that we are about to head into some sort of crypto super cycle, particularly around altcoins and things like that. What else? Yeah, Alex Jones getting absolutely slammed in court, having to pay $4.1 million to the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre. Just various things going on right now in the world, but specifically here on this channel, we do tend to talk more about crypto and what's happening in the crypto and NFT spaces. So, ultimately, we're going to talk a lot about crypto. That's what we do. It's the Crypto Lamb Show. But, we do tend to fill in the blanks, with some other current life, real life events as well. Because, ultimately everything affects everything else in some way or another. So I think it's important that we try to talk about a lot of different things here. And hello, DJ Audio Static, for tuning in. Yet again, you're a regular here. Thank you very much for tuning in and supporting us. You are a legend. Let's say hello to Priest, shall we? Hello, Mr. Priest. How are you doing?
I am doing well, Andy. How are you doing today?
I am absolutely tired. I haven't slept properly. I am very, very bad at getting my sleeping pattern into a workable order, but I will strive through. I will be fine. So we were supposed to have, how do you pronounce his name?
Juice.
Juice, I thought it was. I wasn't 100% sure. But we were supposed to have Juice on today, but something's come up last second that he can't make it, unfortunately.
Yes. It's a set of family, he said it was an issue with a family member needing his emergency help with something. So, we just hope everything is well for everyone involved on that side. Juice has been really excited and been talking about this for, publicly in Twitter yesterday and then in private messages all week. So, and when I have the opportunity to hear more from him, I just received a message from him about a 1027 that he needed to drop everything, go help a family member with something. And that's unfortunately what happens as we get older in life, right? Like as we get older, there's only more things that we need to help with than there were when we were younger. So, we just hope everything's good for Juice and everything in the family side. I can be honest, I've spent my entire morning, I was just in picking up my Ledger wallet. So I'm running some errands for my wife since she's home with the baby today and allowed me to do some stuff. So instead of me, being in charge of the young one all day, I am actually kind of just out and about for the first time, which is kind of fun.
Nice. So you got a little bit of respite today, shall we say? And of course, I mirror that. I hope everything is going to work out just fine for Juice today. Of course, family comes first, regardless of anything
Always.
Else going on. So that is just a fact. So if for any reason we're ever not on air, it's because life comes first, man. That's just the way it is. But no, it's okay. We can have a discussion. If anybody else wants to jump in and have a discussion with us, they're more than welcome to do so even. It's quite funny. As soon as I removed any sign of a giveaway, removed from the notices, our viewing numbers have declined. So I think it might be a good idea to organise a giveaway at some point, as that does increase the numbers somewhat. So.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the other thing is we want to appreciate the people who are here and not only listening to us when we're giving stuff away. We want to say thank you for you guys being here. We'll do some more giveaways. I think these last couple of weeks have been really difficult for everybody because there's just been so much negativity in the space that, like, I feel like it's hard to gain some positive traction in multiple fronts when there's so much going on. That's kind of tough to deal with.
No, this is true, and this is one of the things I want to talk. I don't really want to focus on too many negative things. I want to talk about the positive things that are happening in the crypto space. One of the things I wanted to explore a little bit more is what projects exist out there that are charity based. I would love to know more about those. I also want to potentially talk to a lot of up and coming artists and projects and things like that as well. I definitely want to get Echelon back on. Because he's doing some really, really, really awesome things right now. Potentially take a look at doing another Women in Crypto show. It would be absolutely awesome as well. So, we're not slowing down by any means at all. So, to the guys that are with us currently and are with us pretty much every single day, just a massive, massive, massive thank you to you guys, because, even if I had 0 watching right now, I would still do it, because I know that, now that we're actually streaming on YouTube as well, that those videos are available for replay. So I know some people are finding it more convenient to watch later as well. So, it's not like we're not getting those numbers. We're still getting the same numbers. They might not be here live when it goes out, but that'll come with time. That'll grow. So I, at the end of the day, it is what it is. So, right now, like I said at the start of the stream, I don't know if you heard what I said there, Priest, but there's a lot of things happening in the world right now. So, in terms of the crypto world, there is a lot of excitement when it comes to the potential for a new rush, a new upturn. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that BlackRock have just announced that they will be extending Bitcoin to their investors, which is huge. Absolutely huge. Can you tell the people that will be watching now and later a little bit more about BlackRock? Do you know much about BlackRock?
BlackRock is one of the world's largest investment firms. They generally do not take on unnecessary risk. So when you are looking at major players in the traditional financial marketplace recognizing the inherent value of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin specifically, that's a good sign for closer to mass adoption, right? Like any type of valuable instruments are generally things that people will do everything in their power to manipulate and gamify or do something to make other people recognize value in things that they may not otherwise recognize value in. So when we see, hedge funds, these multi-billion-dollar industries that have political arms that their spending dwarfs what we would earn combined together, Andy, when they're willing to enter the crypto space, that is a really good sign for our investments that we've been kind of in the right direction, I think. And I could be wrong, but that would be that's what that leads me to believe.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. So Bitcoin Magazine here sent out a tweet saying BlackRock in 2017, CEO Larry Fink calls Bitcoin an index of money laundering. And then BlackRock in 2022, the $10 trillion asset manager will offer Bitcoin trading to institutional clients. So that's a very huge U-turn. And I think they recognize what a lot of people are saying as well, that Bitcoin is looking more and more like it will be potentially melting some faces very, very soon. But I can't help but think that the global economy, the whole thing with the can we call it a recession now that it's been redefined in the dictionary? By
definition, it is a recession. The 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth is a recession. That's the definition. So, and when we have that, that is where we are. Now, people will try to spin that word, right? Because that's the art of politics, is taking words and supplanting their meaning, right? By making it something that doesn't mean what it actually means, by them constantly attacking it. And I think that is going to be something we'll have to address moving forward. But yeah, we are definitely in a recession, and we are potentially going to be heading towards a stagflation type situation.
So, do you think it'll, do you think that the economy will stagnate rather than crash? Because I know there's a lot of doomsday people out there that are saying, we're going to end up with total, economical crash globally. Do you subscribe to that? And I'm only asking you because of your expertise in this area.
So I believe that the amount of globalization that we have within the world means that we have a lot of interconnected economies. And these interconnected economies, we have lobbied for them being the greatest thing possible, because if we allow specialization, it allows people to focus on what they're best at, and we get more total production at a lower cost when we specialize, right? That is kind of the whole point. And that's what we want from globalization. But as we have globalization and we take these markets that are across the world and we bring them together, instead of that mitigating risk, it actually exposes all of these markets to all of each other's risk, right? So like, why does that make sense? So like when we talk at 2008 and we talk about the financial collapse of 2008, the reason why the movie Too Big to Fail came out, and that whole phrase too big to fail came out, was because that we have so much interdependence within these financial markets that when one major player experiences a huge shock, that has ramifications for everyone. And when we look at the economy, when the global economy, the United States specifically makes up a large portion of the total GDP that gets put out, right? China does it really well as well. But what are these two large countries both dealing with? China's dealing with a tremendous amount of bad debt throughout their banking industry, specifically because their mortgage loans were tied to localities and they weren't spread that risk out. So like when why that makes sense. So if you have a local bank and your local bank only writes mortgages for the county in which that local bank is, if a tornado comes and destroys all those homes, is that bank going to do well? No, right? So what they do with mortgages, specifically because of that, banks don't really hold mortgages. They like sell them. They like, you write a mortgage and then somebody takes that mortgage and sells it to a mortgage broker that like the government subsidizes. And then your mortgage provider generally gets like a check, right? And like, let's say the mortgage is $1 million. They get a check for about $100,000, right? So they get $100,000 for giving that $1 million loan. They then pay part of that out to the salesperson for the mortgage person, so they get paid their comp right away. And then you see like the other people in the back office end up making money on the back end. And like, why is the background information there important? Is that these decisions that we make within financial markets, within China, within the United States, these have real world implications across the investment strategies across in the financial sectors, because they are all interconnected. So if we use the analogy of a mortgage broker making money and then selling it on to somebody else, they're essentially kicking the can and they no longer hold that risk, but they get paid for their work, but they don't hold any risk. And these financial institutions, these BlackRocks, these Bridgewaters,
MicroStrategy,
all these MicroStrategy, right? All of these companies, specifically when they start taking on more risky assets, right? Like crypto is a risky asset. They either have to mitigate that risk by understanding the political ramifications, or they need to mitigate that risk by recognizing that they're buying something that is valuable now and it may decrease in value in the future, but will still retain its value, and that value will increase in relation to all of the other assets. So these large investment firms, they understand when recessions are coming, and they do everything in their power to position themselves to gain more market share during these recessions. Like the rich only get richer by the economy collapsing. So like that's one of the things that kind of gets really frustrating for people who are, middle class, like most of us, or lower middle class, I guess, because there's not really a middle class in certain countries. Like the issue is that when we have these global recessions, we generally lose not only spending power, but we also lose out on value gained for the investments we made, because we can't afford to mitigate that risk by continuously throwing money at the problem. So when we talk about whether we're in a recession and if there's going to be ramifications for that, the answer is yes. And if I were a hedge fund specifically, I would be hedging everything on trying to gain as much as I possibly could but while I watched everything light on fire. And that strategy remains for everybody, right? In a bear market, what are you told to do? Accumulate, right? Why? Because it'll go up eventually. So if you believe in what you believe in, you accumulate. So we're looking at hedge funds literally doing what our basic strategy is in crypto, and that's accumulate during the bear market.
Which makes complete sense. I mean, it's really the only way forward, you know. And it's like, obviously, do your own research. Don't just go aping into random projects. And I'm going to do my best here not to aim at any specific projects that are out there to ape into. But if you believe in something, you believe it's going somewhere, do your own research, of course. But accumulate, and you know, spread your wealth out. Try not to necessarily, you know, I would never go all in on just one thing. I would, you know, sooner spread out than put all my eggs in one basket. And that's one thing my mother always told me. So that's not financial advice. I feel that's just common sense. But a lot of people tend to kind of ape into one thing and they end up regretting it later. You know, we've seen things like the Solana hack, the Harmony Bridge hack, and things like that. Obviously, support your projects and do things like that, but not necessarily ape into all one thing. It's like, you know, with just general money anyway, isn't it? You know, you buy cars, you buy property, you buy land to invest in. That's the point. You diversify. And, you know, I think that's probably the most sound thing that I can say. Again, not financial advice. Always do your own research, etc. You know, but one of the things I wanted to ask you, so, you know, there is a couple of things that I wanted to ask you. So with regards to BlackRock, you know, extending Bitcoin to its institutional investors, they've also partnered with Coinbase. And that is not only huge for Coinbase, but for crypto in general, because, you know, BlackRock is a $10 trillion investment firm. And you know, Coinbase is one of the biggest you know, crypto institutions. Period. So you know, that's very huge in terms of investment in crypto. It could obviously be absolutely massive, but is it really a good thing, considering that it is rumored that Coinbase also have two potential pending lawsuits against them in terms of you know, for their business practices, you know, and things like that.
It came out yesterday that every single centralized exchange that's listed in the United States is under investigation by the SEC, and they have to be, right? Because if they don't get ahead of this legislation, then the Congress will be the ones to legislate, and then it'll go directly to the DTCC. So basically, I don't understand. I don't really want to get into the complex financial market aspect of what all those letters mean and everything. But if you know what the DTCC stands for, that is what clears stocks trading and everything. And if crypto is going to be considered a security, which would be what the SEC regulates, the Securities Exchanges Commission, it would be really important for them to have that legislation, and that Bitcoin is going to retain value. But Coinbase's strategy recently has been to post a lot of altcoins, and you've noticed that they have had insider trading people be fired and caught. Everyone else kind of catch that Coinbase, it came out that Coinbase was going to be posting a bunch of new tokens on Twitter a while ago, or it might have been on Reddit actually. And then people were like, yeah, this is definitely an inside job. Look at how much buying there had been. And sure enough, less than like a week ago, it came out that the person working for Coinbase had found out about that information, bought those coins ahead of time, and then sold them, right? So I think the adoption of politics by cryptocurrency companies like Coinbase, KuCoin, Binance, etc., plus large institutional investors being willing to accept cryptocurrency risk is a good sign, and it also could be a bad sign. And I believe in cryptocurrency, so I see it as a good sign, but I want to play devil's advocate here, and I want to use some financial backing information to understand that if you are in a relationship with a bank and your bank needs to pay more money to people and they need to make more money, what do they have to do to make more money? They have to take on more risk, right? And when banks start taking on more risk, that's when we start seeing car loans go bad. We start seeing home loans go bad because they start giving loans to people who can't afford it because they can't control that this person needs this and has maybe the capacity to pay for it, right? But banks don't really take on a lot of risk there. They get the loan, they get the house if you don't pay for it. They get the car if you don't pay for it. And in this case, they will get your crypto if you deposit it with them institutionally, right? Like, I'm not sure how that'll work, but that would be my risk management aspect would be, why is BlackRock willing now to take on all of this risk in an environment that could be considered recessionary? And that is either a really, really good sign for crypto or a terrible sign for the economy. And that doesn't mean they have to be mutually exclusive.
Makes complete sense. And I was just reading a tweet here by Crypto Whale. Just in every US cryptocurrency exchange and Binance is being investigated by the Security and Exchange Commission, says Senator Loomis Stafer. I'm not sure if I pronounced his name correctly. But no, that obviously, mirrors what you were just saying. So, essentially, basically normal practice, that's what the SEC is for, is it not? That's what they do. So,
Correct.
obviously, if they find no wrongdoing, no harm, no foul, right? But, at the end of the day, the whole point of this regulation is to hold people accountable. And if there's insider trading, that is absolutely a big no-no. And, it's a bit of a, dare I say, Pelosi move. But at the end of the day, we're seeing a lot of things like that happen. Not too long ago, the same thing happened with OpenSea, with insider trading on NFTs, which I believe was probably one of the first of its kind to happen. And no doubt probably not the last. So, ultimately, we will see the SEC becoming a little bit more aggressive on these things, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, to be honest with you. So, whilst a lot of us were quite happy to have that crypto Wild West and have that freedom around where a lot of people could accumulate a lot of money, and the unfortunate side effect is that there was individuals, of course, that ended up losing significant amounts of money through rug pulls and because of essentially market makers and things like that, insider trading and all that kind of stuff. So I for one am kind of glad that it is for the most part going to be calmed or tamed, so to speak. So essentially we can have a little bit more of a level or fairer playing field, which ultimately will only increase the appealability, I guess, or the attractiveness of cryptocurrency when people stop seeing so much negativity in it and start seeing actually no, it's being regulated by the professionals, therefore I'm happy it's not a scam. I'm happy that it's not this, that and the next thing, and at the same time people are going to feel a little bit more secure and a little bit more protected. So that can only be a good thing. If anybody else has any opinions on that, let us know. Of course, I kind of let drop one name there, Pelosi. So I'm not.
Whatever, dude. Like,
I'm not going to go.
Doing wrong things.
I'm not going to go into what she allegedly did or didn't do. I was quite simply going to talk about the fact that she's on soil in Taiwan, and China are flexing on that. And within the last 4 hours, China have started mobilizing jets and ships in the direction of Taiwan. There's no further updates as of right this second, but that was what I was
Dude, do we really need that right now? Like in life, like can we just for once just have some nice things and not be assholes to each other? Like, I don't understand why people need to fight over land. Like, what's the point of killing all those people if we actually fought? Or what's the point of wasting all the money on scrambling on these jets just a fucking posture? Like, there are so many other problems in the world that we could be fixing with those dollars or those currencies that we are choosing not to. And it's just I think that is the reason why cryptocurrency is so beloved by some people, is it's actually an opportunity to remake some of these structures and these systems that are inherently skewed towards keeping people impoverished. And I'd like to see somebody ever in a position of power do the right thing consistently, instead of just doing everything in their power to make a quick buck. And I think when we set that as a role model for younger people, we get the people who are, I'm gonna get mine, fuck you. And that's when we get more rugs.
The problem that we have, in my opinion, there's a lot more to it. Okay, what the media portray, and what is actual reality. It tend to be two different things. People are told, I don't want to start a flame war or a big argument here or anything like that, but when you look at Israel and Palestine, for example, history is written by the victors, ultimately. But I think anybody who studies history well enough and deep enough can arguably say that there's something off about that whole situation. Ultimately it stems back to Britain doing their thing, in terms of, being an empire or an ex-empire, at least. There's so many things like that, and the same goes back to the understanding of Taiwan and who they are, but also why China are so arsey about it. And then understanding the dynamic and the political landscape between Russia and Ukraine as well would help a lot of people understand what's going on. A lot of people don't understand the whole history going, back hundreds or potentially even thousands of years, and that's why it ends up being so much confusion. And the one thing that really pisses me off about the mainstream media, Sky News being one of them, is they tend to hyper-sensualize a lot of what is happening right now. For example, they talk about military jets and ships being scrambled in the direction of Taiwan, but what they fail to mention is that for the last few days or even weeks, China have actually been practicing war games in that area for some time. Now, arguably, you could say that they've been doing those war games in that area to flex on America and to flex on Taiwan and so on and so forth, but ultimately, they already had military in that area, so arguably, they're not doing anything now that they weren't doing a couple of weeks ago. But the media like to hyper-sensualize it. However, China launching missiles over the airspace in Taiwan is a bit of an inflammatory move, and America addressed that and said that is, escalating the situation and is completely unnecessary, which I obviously, I'm inclined to agree with. And it's only because Nancy Pelosi is there. That is literally the only reason they're doing it, because they're butthurt. And that is the best way to put it. They're butthurt. It's as simple as that. They feel as if they're being ridiculed somehow, but that's just not the case. And, it feels very almost like, a petulant child spitting the dummy. And it's very much like that. Now, the problem is that the media are going to hype it to the point where everybody's going to think nukes are going to start flying and World War III is imminent, because that sells ad space, that sells papers, that sells everything. And ultimately, a lot of these news institutions are businesses, which is why when you go to their websites, there is a paywall for the most part, because that's what they want, is money. And they know that people are going to suck it up. If you turn off the mainstream news, I'm not suggesting that you start going to alternate media outlets, because there is a lot of them, and one of them is in court right now, and losing horribly, because of spreading misinformation and falsehoods and things like that. So, it's very difficult. My opinion on the matter would be, if you are watching negative news and soaking out, turn it off. And, arguably I'll be saying to people, turn off my stream as well, because, ultimately we are going to have to talk about things that are happening in the world that are rather negative and not very happy, and can make people feel very lonely and depressed and, all sorts of things. Obviously, don't turn off my stream, because I need you to be here and do that. And it is completely free, and you can make up your own mind as to whether or not you think I'm talking shit or not. So, I'm not going to push any particular agenda, politically or otherwise, from one side or the other. I have my own opinions, of course, and I would, defy anybody to come up with a challenge to any of my opinions if they disagree, because that's how conversation happens. And I'm not one of these people that's stuck in their ways. If you present an argument that is compelling with facts and is intelligently put, I will listen and possibly even change my opinion if that statement is correct. But if it is false, then no, I won't. It is what it is. But that's how it works,
I think that's really important. And sometimes people, take really pride in the fact that they hold firm in their beliefs. And you're right, there are some core beliefs you should hold firm to. For me, it's do the right thing, right? I'm a firm believer in do the right thing. And, that core belief won't change. But if I didn't believe the world was round, right? And people brought me scientific evidence of the world being round, I want myself to be self-critical enough that I recognize that maybe I should take a step back and learn something here. And I have made a bunch of mistakes myself with opinions that I've had. I've had a bunch of opinions that I have shared publicly that didn't work out well for me. But at the end of the day, I kind of recognize that my opinions kind of come from my core beliefs. And I think, like, as long as you understand what your core beliefs are and you believe that your decision-making tree falls in line with that, you should be all right.
I absolutely agree, and you could have picked any other argument other than the shape of the Earth. That we need to be really careful with that one. It's
an oblate spheroid. It's literally round, and if you don't believe it's round, I would challenge you to prove to me it's not round via experimentation. Thank you. Use scientific method. Prove it to me.
Can of worms opened. Right. So let's swiftly move on. To something else before we get attacked by
we could have got like Kyrie Irving on the podcast then, man. He's clearly for that. And to be clear, I'm not saying that people who believe things aren't intelligent or anything. That's not what I'm trying to get at. So I just think that if you believe things, you should be willing to be self-critical, and that's what I was trying to use. It's probably a poor analogy. I apologize, Andy.
No, not at all. And it's quite interesting. It's a book I've spoken about a couple of times on this stream called The Power of Us by a couple of psychiatrists, and the book came out around the time the pandemic was ending. And as I'm sure many people are aware, there was a lot of beliefs and a lot of ideology that was spread around during the pandemic. A lot of people were terminally online and exposed to a lot of these things, and a lot of misinformation and a lot of censorship, and there was a lot of random, really negative things happening and a lot of scaremongering as well. And ultimately, the book talks about why people do that, and it tends to be born out of fear, not because people are not intelligent. It's because people are out of control of a situation. People like to be in control of their lives. People like to understand, like not be able to necessarily predict the future, because that's very narcissistic, right? But people like to know that when they wake up at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, they're going to get on the train to work, they're going to grab their coffee at their usual place. And, that was turned upside down for many people, and there was a lot of uncertainties. A lot of people didn't really understand what was going on. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, there's a virus, but like, is it really that bad? Are we talking world ending? Are we talking apocalyptic? Because you have to remember, for the last 10 years prior to the pandemic happening, what were we exposed to? We were exposed to things like The Walking Dead. We were exposed to apocalyptic movies every 2 seconds. So a lot of people had preconceived notions in their mind and became very concerned, very worried, and quite rightfully so, about the state of the affairs in the world. And that's ultimately why people end up, making theories. And some people run with those theories, and some of those theories are so convincing, that everybody, essentially gets on board with it. And I don't think these people are not intelligent. I think they are just, concerned ultimately. And, when they start to work with other people, they feel a sense of community. They start to feel understood and they feel supported. And, as a result, that's how you end up with movements like that. But unfortunately, as it is the internet, you throw a few fanatics into the mix with that, and it is a recipe for chaos. And the funny thing is, there is a lot of people and a lot of studies now being done. There's a lot of people talking about, just bringing the pandemic and the plague into consideration for a second. This is completely going to get me blocked on YouTube and Twitch. But there was a lot of people after having COVID and things like that were complaining of symptoms that were lasting long after. But then there was a group of physicians that were running tests saying, actually, we don't find any evidence for some of the symptoms that people are claiming to have. And they started to then work on the fact that the pandemic wouldn't have been as bad if it wasn't for the factor that wasn't penciled in, and that was mass hysteria. And that is a thing that happens when you basically engage a lot of people and tell them that they're all going to die. You end up with mass hysteria. And it's a very well-known and very well scientifically backed fact that when you tell enough people that something is going to happen, they will believe it. I'm not saying that, people that got COVID weren't obviously detrimentally affected and families weren't detrimentally affected. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is some of the people, that may have held certain beliefs that would have made them more, let's say, exposed to the idea of not feeling so great, is the best way I can probably put it. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I love studying psychology, if you hadn't already guessed. And it's...
No, it's okay. I mean, I can speak from my personal example. Like, I personally had COVID multiple times. Tested positive multiple times. And I can tell you that until I got my second vaccine, I had what people described as brain fog. And for people to understand, like, when I speak about things, generally I'm pretty quick to have a decision, have information. Imagine the conversation we have where I'm talking, taking the 4 to 5 times as long for me to get my same points across, with more tangents than what I currently had. It was almost like an inability to process math properly. And like correlation, causation, I don't know. But I do know that like I used math in my everyday work, and I literally had to work on stuff at home that I never had to before because I needed to get things done that I wasn't able to. So I would be really, really interesting to see what other people's perspectives were and what they've gone through and that kind of stuff. I'm very thankful since I left working in a people position that I haven't had COVID since, which is kind of wonderful. But yeah, I mean, like, some people, it's a very, very difficult thing when new things happen and you're trying to correlate new things with things from previous knowledge and like not separating stuff. So I find that like it'll be easier to understand the impacts of COVID in like 5 to 10 years as we get more further away from it. That kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like as we are able to remove ourselves from the stress of having been told like we could all die at any moment to like, oh, life is back, but it's different, but we have a more regular life now. I think that will give us a little bit better perspective. I'm not sure if that was eloquent or I got lost on the way. There was a bunch of birds flying around.
No, I think that was eloquently put, and I agree. I was vaccinated with both doses before I tested positive COVID myself, and it didn't really affect me. I tested positive, but I was okay. There was no issues. I didn't.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was literally, for a day. Feeling like crap, but after that I was perfectly fine, and I was completely aware of other people, and I'm a heavy smoker as well. I mean, people have seen me smoke on the stream plenty of times. I smoke, right? So I was quite concerned at the possibility that I might unalive myself as a result, but that wasn't the case. I was okay, and obviously, a lot of other people had different outcomes, and there was a lot of differences of opinion. There was a lot of I already know that there is a lot of people that may listen to this that will roll their eyes at this because of their beliefs, and there's other people that will agree and nod their heads, and it's that's the society we live in. And I what my message to those people is, that's a good thing, because it's okay to have an opposing opinion. It is okay to have a different idea. That is what makes the world special, okay? So, ultimately, I think everybody, regardless of what your belief was, right, regardless of what you thought, everybody wanted the same thing. Everybody wants everybody to be healthy. Everybody wants everybody to be okay. Everybody wants things to go back to normal. Although, because of climate change, whether you believe it or not, because of COVID, whether you believe in it or not, because of the wars, you can't really deny them. Because of the shape of the earth and everything else, the world will never be the same again. And ultimately that is completely true, especially when you're taking it back into a little bit more of a financial kind of aspects. The inflation is here to stay, very much so, and that's never going to go away. Well, I say never. It's not going to go for a very, very long time, I don't think. And
well, we have a case study for this, though. It's called Japan.
Right, yeah.
Look at Japan through the 80s till now. They made it work, but it's been 40 years of them dealing with essentially stagflation. Like, they haven't experienced real economy growth in a long time. And that could be me talking on my ass. I haven't looked at any figures, so please recognize the last time I looked at like financial journals was probably over 5 years ago. So they could be experiencing financial growth with stuff now. But realistically, even that happened in the last 5 years. It went from the 80s until the middle of the 2010s, right? Like, so we're looking at 35 years, 20 to 35 years of them having a stagnant economy, meaning not growing, and also inflation. And that's why stagflation is such a terrible, 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 terrible thing for an economy to experience. Is there's literally no way out. Almost, it's like a vicious cycle. I like to think of it as Fat Bastard from the Austin Powers movies. You eat because you're unhappy, and you're unhappy because you eat, right? So like stagflation is real bad.
It's almost as if the Fed are running Harmony One, because they're all about that inflation. They're all about printing that money.
So the issue is we haven't, when economies crash, centralized banks do something called helicoptering the crash. What does helicoptering a crash mean? It means that as the economy tanks, if you do things to help boost it up on its way down, you keep it from hitting as low of a floor, right? Like the thought of is like, if a helicopter flying out of the sky and you spin the blades a little bit, well, if we spin the blades a little bit, maybe we get a little bit of updraft and we don't kind of crash as hard, right? It's my personal belief that we still haven't recovered from 2008. And I understand people can disagree with me, and I'm going to cough here for a second.
No, I would completely agree with that.
So there's only about one country in the world that I believe is actually recovered from 2008, and that's Iceland. They literally allowed their economy to tank. They put the bankers in prison, and then once the bankers were in prison, they've now restarted everything. And they, did they need help? Absolutely, but they ripped the Band-Aid off back then. And the reason why I think that's important is if you don't hold white-collar criminals accountable for the illegal things they do, you give carte blanche to every other person who thinks they could get away with it, because they will. And if you don't punish financial crimes, they are a cost of doing business, not a punishment. And like, hedge funds are legally required to do things for money. They have to make money for their investors. It is required, right? Because they sell shares. So if you give a business that has a legal requirement to make money, and you give them an opportunity to make money in a way that is illegal without it costing them more money in the long run, is that not the thing the business should do based on what their specific guidelines are from them being a publicly traded company? And I think that is the issue. When we don't take the people who are bad actors and make the bad actions so costly that they are not worth doing, we just incentivize negative things. And when you incentivize people to take advantage of others, because we will never fine them more than what they've made. Let's look at the fines from companies such as Santander and HSBC for laundering drug money, right? Like I'm not like disclosing that to people. That's been out in public ether for years. They've been doing it forever. Look at all the billions and dollars of fines that they take. But like, you can take billions of dollar fines. Those banks don't not exist anymore, right? So like, it's just cool for them to keep doing it. So when we talk about not having actually crashed, is we didn't take all of the things that made our economy what it was before with bad actors. We didn't regulate it out. We didn't do any of that. We actually just kind of left it to be the same. And then actually over the last, 10, 14 years, we've actually done more to get rid of more regulations. So like literally we're taking away our protections and giving the people who have a history of doing illegal things to make profit keys to the fucking castle. So like, I don't think we've reached the bottom of that, because those people won't allow it to happen. That's why too big to fail is a thing.
So I mean,
I personally don't believe in it.
It's funny you talk about giving the keys to the castle to the essentially the criminals that make money. It kind of reminds me, and I suppose it's kind of analogous. Maybe you disagree, but during the Second World War in the UK, in the docks, in the south of the country, they essentially got the gangs, the mafias, the organized criminals to run the import, export, and logistics. In certain parts. Now, that's obviously, something that you probably will struggle to find official documentation on, but the government didn't really have a choice, because the guys that were supposed to be doing that kind of work were off at war fighting. And a lot of these criminals, they had experience with logistics. That's what they do. Ultimately, needs must.
Like what I mean specifically is like needs must. I think your analogy is really good for like an everyday person to kind of understand, like needs must, Phil. Well, like let's go a little bit further, and let's use an analogy that I think is going to be a little bit more pointed for the level of issue here. In my opinion, this is like George Washington giving keys to his personal tent to Benedict Arnold and a gun and saying, bro, shoot anyone who comes in here, right? Like, and that may not be that great of an analogy, but like Benedict Arnold's a known traitor, right? Like, between the UK and the United States, like whatever. Be that as it may. Again, from the United States perspective, Benedict Arnold was a traitor, right? So if people are using financial markets and that is their job, and they are abusing that, then they are traitors. TRAITORS. They are manipulating what is a social economy for their own personal benefit. And that is my opinion. And that is why I do not work in traditional finance at all, because I believe it is incentivized theft. I do believe they try to come up with other ways of morally justifying it, but their entire jobs is to take money from you and I and put it into other rich people's pockets. And I can't allow, I personally have an issue with that, right? Like I've said that multiple times on the podcast, but if we look at not failing, right? Like we haven't failed completely because these problems that existed in 2008 have not been rectified, right? Like we've never fixed the amount of too big to fail, right? If anything, we've allowed these institutions to continually get bigger, right? Like we have now allowed these things that are too big to fail to be bigger.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
true.
That doesn't make sense to me.
As far as I'm aware, the statistics could be wrong, but this is from the UK. What was being spoken about? The statistics suggest that large corporations that operate in the UK, and again, this is my only input from that from a UK perspective. That a lot of corporations during the pandemic had profits of over 75% on the previous 20 years. So they had made billions, correct, more than they ever have during the pandemic, and that could be for various reasons. But at the same time, and this was a point that I made, and you may disagree with me, you may agree with me, I don't know, but somebody put forward a very valid argument, which I thought was true. There's a lot of families that are struggling right now. Some of them have careers in the UK, for example, and again, that is my only perspective. I do apologize, but essentially, a lot of people, they have these fixed salaries, and they are full-time jobs, whether it's police, working in government, whatever it may be. And the money that they make is still not enough to pay the mortgage or the rent and get food and pay the bills and everything else in between and put fuel in the car. It's just not enough. So they need subsidy from the government in order to do it. And for the most part, they get it, but it's still not enough. And a lot of these people are finding out that if they actually quit their job and go onto the welfare system, they end up better off, especially if they reduce hours.
It's called a poverty trap.
Yeah, so that's essentially what's happening over there. But it's like the salaries, the wages have not gone up in line with the cost of living and all of this inflation and everything else for a very, very long time, decades, in fact. And one of the arguments that was put forward by, I can't remember who it was, but they said that the only way that we're actually ever going to beat this system of hyperinflation and, the cost of living crisis and everything like that is the only way to do it is to tax these massive profiteering companies, tax the profits and start increasing salaries in line with the cost of living. Now, not necessarily immediately, because that would cause a shock, but that is the only way that we would logically remove ourselves from this situation. And it's not that companies can't still profit, it's just that right now they're taking a little bit too much. May
I plug something for people out there who may not understand these concepts? There's a YouTube channel out there called Economics Explained. And if you don't understand economics, these are things that you just kind of can't grasp your head around because they kind of feel like they're out in the ether for you, please watch that. And it's not that I don't think that I do a great job explaining things, and I don't think it's that Andy does a poor job. This person literally knows their shit. I enjoy it as someone who went to school specifically for economics. So go watch those things and learn some of these concepts we're talking about, because what is the issue that Andy's bringing up right now, and we're going to get to, and I'm going to let him finish, is intergenerational wealth gaps because of declining populace in advanced countries. So keep going on your point, Andy. I apologize for interjecting, but I want people to know that existed, and I felt like I was going to forget. I'm sorry, man.
No, not at all. I was pretty much done with the point anyway, but it's a case of, it was a very intelligent argument that was put forward, I felt, and it was very logical to me. In the same, it's the same reason that, I was unable to get a mortgage out of school and things like that, whereas my parents were able to buy a house for £16,500 at the time, which was a 3-bed, which is now the equivalent of maybe nearly probably about close to about 350,000 now. They bought it for 16,500. And it's now worth 350,000. You know, and it's like you know, in those kind of numbers, it's not even possible for me to get you know, the deposit necessary to get a mortgage and all of that kind of stuff. And it just seems, you know, absolutely ludicrous in that respect. And then of course you're paying for an ever increasing amount of money at the gas station or at the store, and you know, a lot of people, you know, the funny thing is that a lot of people just assumed that it was because of the instability and the war in the Ukraine and things like that, but it really isn't. It comes down for the most part to profiteering. So, to some people, very brave people, I might add, where there was one gentleman I seen, he put up a video on social media somewhere where he put fuel in his car. He put I believe it was about, I think he filled the tank, so it was like £90 worth of fuel. And he went into the shop and he says, I'm only willing to pay X amount, right? Whatever the previous price would have been for doing that. And his reason was, and he said, you can call the police, you can take me to court, I will go, I'm not going to be difficult about it, but right now I am not paying, because I'm protesting, I'm paying the non-inflationary prices, and you can take that or you can leave it. It's entirely up to you, but I'm leaving, and if you want to call the police, that's fine, you have my details, not a problem. And he was actually, you know, very reasonable about it. I would call it a peaceful protest, because Shell, for example, reported insane profits, whilst everybody has been essentially suffering. Some people have had to make the decision between putting food on the table and putting fuel in the car to go into work to get money to put food on the table, and it's just become a complete vicious cycle for so many people. You know, and it just feels like a lot of people are flapping and saying a lot of good things, but not really doing anything. You know, it kind of reminds me a little bit, and you know, to take a little bit of the thing when we ended up with so many tragedies in America recently with regards to gun control, and I'm not going to go into specifics to start a conversation around that. It's a subject that's it's very fiery, and you know, I'm not in America, and you know, I don't fully understand the entire culture for it, and I'm not really qualified to speak on it. But what struck me and what I found very surprising is when people were calling for tighter legislation on you know, firearms in America and things like that. Joe Biden stood in front of the camera and he says, you know, this is now where we need to stand up and you know, really take control of the situation and fight these powers and change the legislation. And I was kind of thinking to myself, you're the leader of the free world, change it. But that was just a misunderstanding of how the system actually works.
Correct. The president doesn't have very much power. They have a projection of power, but that's a fallacy. The president actually doesn't have that much power, and like, it's interesting to hear you from a UK perspective find that out like later, when like we kind of get taught that, well, in certain parts of the country at like a very young age. So it's like, I find it interesting to for when other countries notice the shit that we like inherently know, and I like it. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like when there was a terrible situation in New Zealand where a very sick individual took multiple rifles and gunned down a lot of innocent Muslim people when they were going out to pray. Very sick individual who live streamed his rampage, and he was eventually arrested. And the president of New Zealand, woman, I've forgotten her name. She was absolutely brilliant in saying, we're not going to call this guy a terrorist, we're going to call him a murderer. He is what it is. And I don't want to see it on the media. I don't want to see this guy's name in the media. I don't want anything like that. And she took a very hard stance on the guy. He was put in jail. He was dealt with. But she didn't want that media circus, you know, because it's like he doesn't deserve that airtime. He's a criminal. He's a murderer, plain and simple. And I completely love that. And the fact that her as a president was able to enact certain legislations and enact certain things and, you know, have that sway and say, this is what's going to happen, and it happened. Whereas you look at President Biden, who is the leader of arguably one of, if not the largest superpower on the planet, and he can't change that without going through. And I understand I really do understand the idea of having those triggers and fail safes to stop one person basically dictating over an entire system. I get it. I do understand. But it's at the same time, when it comes to emergency measures, there should be a little bit more power, surely.
It makes sense why there's a monarchy at times. I'm not saying I agree with it, but like at times and times of great crisis, it makes sense why there was a monarchy, or even in Rome, why there was a person who was able to take power and then cede it back to the Senate when there was like an attack on Rome itself, right? Like, because when there's multiple people making decisions, nothing gets fucking done. And like, you can see that in your own organizations, right? Like whether your own crypto projects or your own in real life work, right? Like the more people you add into the people making a decision, the less that gets done. And that's just the way the system is worked out, right? Like, which sucks. But I understand why people would want there to be a strong executive and a strong person in a leadership position with actual power. But it's the double-edged sword, right? Like, what happens when those people abuse that power, when we get Augustus Caesar for however long, or who may not even be that bad, but then we get Caligula or someone else down the line, right? Like, what is the balance between having a representative democracy where people can feel like they're empowered to influence the politics of where they live, versus having a functioning government that can be able to stand for things and not feel as if it needs to please all parties at the same time? I'm not sure what the balance is. I honestly don't know.
Well, it kind of reminds me of a little saying. It's like we used to have emperors that ran empires. We used to have kings that ran kingdoms, and now we have countries.
That's a different connotation in where you're from than where I am. So I'm gonna not touch that with the 10-foot pole. But
it definitely means the same thing. We're just a little bit more liberal with its use.
It means the same thing. You're right. I meant like more like the people get real offended around here by words.
Oh no, I'm well aware. It's just that they do in the UK and everywhere else too. The problem is we're just not as afraid to say it. I think it's I just think it's a difference in cultures. But no, it definitely still carries the same weight. I promise you. But it's one of my favorite words, and don't worry, I'm not going to say it. So, ultimately, that is the way things tend to work out. So, just going to kind of move away from this kind of talk. It is very doom and gloom. Is World War III about to start? Is the economy going to crash and burn? Ultimately, Bitcoin, bullish as fuck. So, that's happening. But also, right? It's like some proper big dick energy coming from, companies like BlackRock and things like that, with regards to Coinbase and everything else. And then there's a lot of people saying, the next alt season that's about to happen is going to rival that of the one in 2017. And, so many things like that. And, I'm seeing a lot of tweets for AVAX. I think they're going to do incredibly well. I'm also seeing Syscoin ramping up their efforts as well to start, really kind of bringing people over there. There's just a lot of really, really cool stuff happening, and there's a lot of amazing projects being released as well. So ultimately, regardless of whatever you believe, there is a lot of cool stuff coming. And it's like, again, 2 hours ago, crypto exchange Ebonex has partnered with MasterCard to launch a Bitcoin and crypto reward card in Australia. I believe there was also another one with Binance to release a card somewhere else. I've forgotten where it was. But, there's loads of really, really, really cool things happening in the crypto space, not just with, legislation, but also a lot of really cool stuff, like I mentioned, BlackRock and stuff like that. So it's not all doom and gloom. However, back to Harmony One for a second. This show was conceived. Ooh. This was conceived on Harmony One. Sure. So we have to continue the talk of Harmony One to a degree. If we don't,
sure.
Ultimately we're ignoring where we came from, and I think we shouldn't do that. We need to take a look at it. And Stephen Stee has been making regular video updates on his Twitter. I don't think he's done one today or yesterday, but he did 3 in a row, I believe. And I think, for the most part, apart from the first one was a little bit kind of, please don't fire me. But after that, they were a little bit more, how do we say, a little bit more positive in their messaging. I think they're a little bit more productive potentially. People letting people know. We are listening. We are seeing. We're sorry for the fuck ups, but we're listening now. Please support us. However, with that said, Daniel Pagan, he was on the very first show. I say show, but it was a round table. It was a Harmony round table. We had all of the Harmony projects here, which is on my YouTube channel, by the way. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find the video in my channel there. If you're watching on Twitch, head over to my YouTube. You can find the round table podcast we did. It was absolutely massive. And Daniel spoke there, and Daniel put out a tweet. Let me find the tweet. It's a
7-tweet thread.
A 7-tweet thread. So I'm just going to kind of read.
You can read it. It's good, actually. Yeah, it's really good. He actually came onto a Twitter space before he announced that, like 2 days earlier, and I just asked him how he was. Like, I just hey man, like, you're a person. Like, how are you doing? Like, this can't, like, are you stressed out? Like, this can't be just like a cakewalk for you. And he said, I don't need to blink twice if I'm in a hostage situation. I'm fine. And 2 days later, put out his letter of resignation. So.
I reached out to him on Telegram as well, and I sent him a message saying, whatever your next move is, wish you all the best of luck, and I hope you're all well. Seriously. And sleeping properly and looking after yourself as well, because it has been a very stressful time, and a lot of people did fire a lot of anger in his direction as well. And I don't think he's taken this decision lightly. And it is what it is. Unfortunately, that it's not just him. There is other people too, but sure. He's more visual in the community's eye, so that's why he's obviously done this a little bit more publicly maybe than others. There was another one yesterday as well that publicly got announced. Peter Abila was signed as a chief business officer for Discrete Labs, who makes Findora. The funny thing is about that is I have a feeling that Peter Avila was maybe not with Harmony for some time before the hack. So was that one announced that he was leaving yesterday, or that he had the new job? It was announced that he had been signed as the new person yesterday. Yeah, because he was the head of dealing with the funds for projects, was he not? And then that went quite very, very quickly, and then the hack happened. I think it's what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing in that right. Situation. Back to Daniel for a second. And Daniel, if you watch this later or you're watching now, all the very best of luck to you, dude. Seriously, dude. If we've ever asked any difficult questions here or made it seem like we're anti-Harmony, that is not the case. We're not anti-Harmony. We're very pro-Harmony and very pro-Harmony community. But we have to ask difficult questions, and we have to point out certain failures and even the positives. If there is positives, we will talk about them. But there hasn't been many, and I feel that is potentially why you've made the decision that you have here. And Daniel says, to the Harmony One community, I have made a very difficult decision to resign from the Harmony Protocol core team. I'll always be part of the community, and I've worked with so many talented team members who will continue being dear friends to me. My journey started as a community mod on Harmony's Reddit page in late 2020, early 2021. From there, I met Tim Post and others and started a number of initiatives to raise awareness of the project, and worked on these alongside my full-time job as a senior Cisco support engineer. CCNA qualified. I also see, Cisco, brother. Yeah. That was a long time ago. Don't work with Cisco now. But anyway, he said one of these initiatives led him to. I've already read that bit. Moving on. That was a dream come true to work in Web3 and contribute to creative ways to grow awareness and give to the community. The experience was incredible, though not always ideal. But I will forever and sincerely appreciate the opportunity I was given. My reasons for leaving is not the point of this thread. I'll likely only share those details with close friends, but know that I appreciate the good things we've accomplished together and as a project and a community. There's one common feedback I constantly hear from projects building on Harmony One is your community is amazing, and I absolutely agree. You, the community, mean a great deal to me, and I'm very happy to have experienced this journey with you since late 2020. So, what next? I'll be taking a 1 week break and focusing a little bit on mental health. In the process, I plan to evaluate my new opportunities in Web3 and take the next steps. Regardless of where I go, I sincerely hope to have you by my side. I will certainly be by yours. And then a lot of very, very lovely messages from the community with people saying it's been an honor, Daniel, and good luck, and just so many positive things. There is a couple of other comments in there saying it's sad to see so many Harmony members dropping like flies. A lot of people very disappointed, but ultimately a very positive view there. Tim P saying it's been a real honor working with you for almost 2 years, taking Reddit from nothing to a thriving community. Working with you on the team has been my privilege, and wherever you end up, I have no doubts you will excel in every way. Proud to call you my friend. So it's very, very sad to see that Daniel has left the Harmony team, but with all of the issues on Harmony right now, it is what it is. A lot of people still suggesting that Harmony will completely collapse, fail, and burn in a fire. I don't believe it will. I don't think it will. It may not end up being as big as it potentially could or should be, but I don't think it's going to dissolve into nothing. I think there's too much at stake for just everybody to let it go. And there is... we were going to talk about that, weren't we, Priest, today? Other alternatives that could essentially... but we can't.
And
I just heard you say we,
and
then
clear,
your internet went.
Those older alternatives, as long as they are still in the ether. Oh no! Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
It's going to be spicy though. That's all. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, sir. I think we just had a little bit of.
I
think we have some lag. I think that might be the issue. Let me let's go ahead and drop the call and restart it, and maybe that will help. Maybe are you on your mobile device or?
I am, and I'm on Wi-Fi too. So I'm literally within the room that's in Wi-Fi. That's why I'm like, I don't understand. All right, give me a second. We'll drop the call, and I'll be right back.
Well, you actually seem to be on time now. There doesn't seem to be a disconnect with the latency.
Cool.
So I think it's safe that we could.
Yeah, I decided to change some stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah,
I reset everything.
Start again with what you were saying. Obviously, we're not revealing anything about what we were going to be talking about today, because obviously now that's going to be pushed to another show.
Sure. As soon as I have a date that he's going to be able to make it, we will discuss it. But yeah, I mean, like the whole thing with Harmony and what we were going to try to get at is like we still care, right? Like, and it's clear from people who are leaving with their exit statements that they care too. The reason I brought up Peter Abila leaving was he made his statement that he was going to Findora, and then a bunch of accounts that I can't verify who they are, but they know way too much to like not be people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the things they say in these Twitter spaces, I'm like, I don't know who you are, but you're way too smart to just be a Joe Schmo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These people are posting motivational like management quotes, and I'm not going to say whether people are liking them or not, but like, I also posted a motivational management quote because, I'm going to plug this Captain Class by Sam Walker as a book that every leader should read. It is a great book that relates leadership to sports and how you can take lessons from sports, and not just one kind, but all of them, and apply them to being a leader yourself. Shout out to Sam Walker, 2017 best leadership book.
I'm sorry. Can I just change the topic for just a second? I don't know why this came up on my Twitter feed. I have no idea why, but I need to share it because my ADHD is going crazy right now. If you're queasy or you don't like nature and animals eating other animals, look away now.
Oh no, I'm out.
But This is a freaking dinosaur, and nobody can tell me otherwise. This is an actual dinosaur. I'm not sure what animal is that. I think that's a deer or a gazelle, maybe. I don't know. Probably a deer, right? That's a freaking dinosaur. Nobody can tell me that's not a dinosaur. I mean, obviously, I know it's a type of Komodo dragon, I guess. Or I don't. A Komodo dragon's native to that part. I don't even know where that is. I'm confused. But it's a dinosaur. Look at, it just ate a deer, swallowed it whole. Right? That's a Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Harmony. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So no. Trust me, I get it. Like, absolutely. There's a couple cardinals that have a bunch of little cardinals. So like, I'm watching a mom and a dad cardinal because you can see the difference in the colors, right? The dad's super bright and they're like flying around too. So I get it completely. But if we go back to harmony, right, and we go back to the topic we were talking about and why I was plugging that book is that, you know, relevant quotes, I like to put them in things because I like to keep things a little more spicy. And, you know, just the people who are liking things about management and say negative things about management, but then pleading with their love for the community on the way out, or only pleading for community love with community love on the way out, or, you know, vice versa. They're not necessarily saying all of those things, but like if you take a holistic picture, it just makes me more nervous than I was before. And like, I still think that there's a tremendous opportunity within Harmony to turn it around. And I think there's I just don't know that I've seen any proposals that hit the things that I personally think need to happen for there to be success. And I don't know that I know everything, but there's just a couple things that I think that I kind of hold to in my chest. But, you know, that's like internal stuff, right? We all have hope for the people we interact with and deal with. I'm like, man, I hope Jimmy gets married and has a couple kids because that'd make him real happy. Or I want Susie to fall in love with Brian because Susie and Brian, they'd be a perfect couple. And that doesn't always work out that way though. So I don't know. But like, I'm just happy that the community is actually saying nice things to people on their way out and not bashing them for leaving, because like they are bashing other projects for leaving or looking for investment. And like, not all the community, but some people are. And that should just piss me off. Like, people should be able to do their own thing and be able to seek their own happiness. And if their employment or their business partners don't make them currently happy, and that's what they're looking to try to do, then I think that we should just be happy that they're trying to do that. I don't know.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I completely agree. And, you know, I think that's one thing that makes Harmony as a chain, you know. Sorry if you can hear that in the background. Somebody's drilling. So yeah, you know, ultimately, I think, you know, that's one of the best parts about the Harmony community is, you know, just how awesome a lot of the people are, how awesome the projects are, and, you know, how awesome people tend to be towards each other, unless they're talking to Stephen Stee.
I mean, in fairness, they have every right to be upset with him.
Oh yeah. They don't have the right
to say negative things and disparage him. But like, you know, if you want to meme about it, man, meme about it. I've memed at him. Meme at him. Why not? And if you're an adult and you can't take some memes thrown your way, like, turn off your Twitter notifications. Like, who cares?
Yeah, unless you're looking for notifications for the Crypto Lamb Show, in which case make sure you turn on notifications.
Those specific ones, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, mute literally everything else except us. You only need to gain information from us because we speak all the sense and randomly veer off and have weird segues and conversations about things that are not related to crypto whatsoever. So naturally, you should be following us, and naturally you should be watching us, because you know, there's so many YouTubers, there's so many live streamers out there that will talk about certain projects that they've been paid to talk about, and they will, you know, only talk about those things, whereas we will talk about everything. If it's good, it's great, we'll talk about it. If it's not, we will talk about it still, but tell you the truth about it. And that is the reason that you need to be here. But also we talk about real life too. And I like to think that, you know, I love altruism. Okay. I love the idea of being able to help people out, and that's why when the website is finally finished, we're a little bit more time on that. It is coming soon. I do apologize for the delay, but it is coming. We will have announcements on how people can get involved in future giveaways and things like that, so that people can essentially get back from this stream. It is your stream. If you are an owner of a project and you want to come on, do an AMA, talk about your project, whatever the case may be, you are welcome to do so. I'm not going to charge you for that at all. In fact, it's a mutual benefit at the end of the day. You get to speak to an audience, we get to gain a larger audience, and ultimately something like this growing through the bear market is only going to make it epic during the bull market. You know, so I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to say to you Bitcoin will definitely be $1 million in 2 weeks because, that's not how I roll. What I will say to you, however, is the facts. And what is presented, what is actually happening right now, that can be backed up with factual information. That is what I will do. And also talk to you about the facts of individual projects and things like that as and when they come on, including, and we really, really need to have a really good chat. Probably not today. I think we're not going to be streaming for as long as we typically do today, because we did have a show, but unfortunately, due to personal reasons, that wasn't possible today, and I hope everything is okay there. But I definitely think that we need to have a very good conversation, a showcase about a special project that you know a lot about, Priest, and that's DeFi Tower. And we definitely need to revisit that, I think.
We absolutely do. And one of the things that we kind of decided was that we didn't want to feel like we were pushing things on people in a difficult time as a way as a cash grab. To be completely frank, I know that there are marketers in my DMs and there are other projects in my DMs asking me, like, what are you guys doing? Like, what's up? Like, why are you not trying to focus on these things? And with our project, like, we have a lot of builders in our community. Like, we have a lot of people who have their own stuff they need to focus on before they can worry about playing a game, right? Like, I'm gonna throw JCR out there because JCR was interested in playing the game, but like JCR is a validator, right? And he's a leader in the community, so that JCR's got a lot of other stuff going on, right? So, did he remember that DeFi Tower was fully up and running while all this was going on? No, of course not. Were we blowing him up, asking him to play? No, it's not who we are. Like, I'm not going to be that person. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to share everything with you guys through the podcast, because I've kind of been holding out on Andy essentially for a while. So it's my bad, dude. I should send you some shit so you can play. My bad. But I feel like the important thing is like we try to be ourselves on the podcast as much as we can be, because realistically, if we don't have the outlet to be ourselves while we're in a pandemic environment, it can be very difficult to retain your mental health. I would say. So, me personally, Priest as a person who sells things for a living, could not ethically sell you something that you may want to buy, but maybe in an environment that may not be the right thing for other people to do. And I hope that people read into that the right way. Like, I mean that. Like, if you needed to worry about your money because of the Solana hack, or you need to worry about your money because of the bridge hack and you had a bunch of money in stables, or you're running a project and you've got to worry about your treasury, or, are you a leader in the validator community and the validators are hopping from chain to chain right now trying to look at things because there's a whole show we could do on Harmony's treatment of their validators. We want to recognize that we're more understanding and we're in our beta, right? Like, we're not in our growth phase yet. So anything we show people is going to be stuff that is just going to people, if you're interested, this is the ground floor. So I started talking with you and Fizz here because I expected to be trying to sell my product, DeFi, or our product, DeFi Tower, through the podcast. But I've come to recognize that the podcast for me is more of a great conversation with friends. And I hate to muddy it with business, but I'm actually really, really excited. And we just need to pick a day, dude. Like, whenever, it doesn't matter. Do you want to do how do you want to do this? Like, let's brainstorm how we want to do this on the pod, since we're literally talking about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way I anticipated it is, I think realistically, there's a lot of projects out there that will launch, do a mint, and they're looking to sell out and get their mint done and get everybody involved in the game. But I think the way that you've done it is probably going to work out better, quite simply because there is still a lot of people around Harmony. They're waiting for things like Rocket Monsters. They're waiting for a lot of other things. I still love Fish Fight, things like that. And I was waiting for you before really getting into DeFi Tower, because I wanted to do it step by step on the podcast and really show people how to do it. But ultimately, I think it ends up really saying, okay, well, the people that are going to be joining from that point are people that genuinely want to play the game. They're genuinely people that have an interest in the game. It stops being about money so much, quite simply, you know, because of the price of one for a start and everything else that's going on. You know, and just in general, it stops being about money and starts being more about the wonderful, beautiful and just well-built project that you guys have built, and I think that is more important ultimately. And so I think having that delay really kind of proves, you know, that it isn't just a money grab, that it is something special. It's kind of like if you like Echelon, you know, having just you know, became a company, you know, so that he can pay the taxes and everything else, and that it's about the longevity of the project, not the short term. And I think that's absolutely critical. So what I would like to do is, you know, maybe put some posters around, raise some awareness, get some people involved, and I think we should dedicate one of the streams, whether it's Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. I will let you choose, where we essentially start to finish, go through the game, and well, not necessarily finish the game, you know, because I don't think we'll be able to do all of that. But you know, start it off and, you know, kind of explain the process and get it started, and, you know, just show people the start of everything, and kind of go from there. I think that would be the best way to do it. Just show it live, how it works, what it's about, what you can do with it, you know, and just kind of explain some of the steps and just show people how awesome it is, man. Because so much work's gone into it. You know, your team has, you know, really excelled in what they set out to do, I think. And yeah, no, for that reason, I think it's more important to do that. I really want to, you know, dedicate this show not only as a platform to projects that want to come and talk about their projects and you know, communicate with the people out there that might be potentially looking to get into something, but also, you know, for people in the community that have got something to say, that want to say it, they're more than welcome to come on here and have a conversation like what we're doing right now, you know, but also to talk about potential charitable projects that are out there. And just so many things. It is a talk show. It's not a boxed in Twitter space with only one agenda. We're not only here to talk about Harmony. We're here to talk about Syscoin. We're here to talk about AVAX. We're here to talk about Cardano. We're here to talk about NFTs, crypto, news, whatever it may be. That is the point. So, you know, ultimately, if you have a question or you have something that you want us to look at or cover, maybe there is a project that you're not sure about and you want us to investigate and take a look. Is it a good project? Is it a bad project? Whatever it may be. Let me know. Talk to me. Ping me on Twitter or Priest or Fizz. Let us know and we will hop to it. Maybe you guys want to know something that you're not sure and you can't find the answer on. Come and speak to us and we will do that for you. We will grow as our followers grow. So if you're not following right now on Twitch, please go ahead and do so. If you're not following on YouTube, please go and subscribe on YouTube. And if you're watching the stream on Twitter, then please go ahead and follow me at lamb_crypto, and you can see above my head here, you can see over there probably Priest crypto Twitter handle. You can see Fizz crypto Twitter. I can't speak, get my mucking words folded up, and mine, and the Discord link is up there as well, and all of that will be on the website. The website link isn't on this page right now, but it will be, and that is going to be cryptolamb.live, but it's not live right yet, but it will be soon. So, Priest, you know, considering we weren't able to do the show that we're essentially getting prepared for, you know, we were kind of caught unawares a little bit. So, you know, I don't really see, unless anybody that's watching right now wants us to take a look at anything, I think people are just quite happy to, ultimately kind of see the show continue, despite the fact that it's just a couple of guys kicking back and chilling. If there's anything that you want to say to people right now, I think now would be a good time. We've been going for over an hour and a half now anyway, so I think now would be a good time. And then obviously what we will do is make sure that we put out the schedule. And the schedule, by the way, when it goes up on the website, I'll be able to share that on Twitter and things. So it's going to be a little bit more, you know, what's coming ahead of time. So if we have a show booked, people will know about it before the show happens properly, not just 30 minutes before the show, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's about to get a lot more organized. It's going to be, the user experience is going to be a lot more friendly, because right now, you know, we're going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same time every single day, which is 2:30 UST in the afternoon. And a lot of people, you know, they don't know what they're tuning in for. The numbers are lower today because I've removed the the message that said that we were doing a giveaway. I removed that message, and because of that, we've dropped in numbers. So, but that's not a bad thing, because the people that are happy to be here, the people that are happy to listen to us, are the ones that stick around, right? So that's a great thing. So ultimately, that is what we're going to do. We're going to make the user, we're going to make it more interactive. We're going to make it more user friendly, and there's a lot of other cool stuff coming. So bear with us, stick with us, and keep supporting us, keep sharing us, and things like that. And we have a lot of very cool things coming. And because we are cross chain, we're not just about Harmony. We're about all of the other chains as well. And there's so many talented people out there. I don't think we're ever going to run out of things to talk about when it comes to crypto. We're going to cover all of the cryptos. Thanks for supporting us, guys. Priest, if you have anything to say to the people, please let them know.
Absolutely. I asked you to talk back and forth about what we wanted to do, and then you told me what you wanted to do, and I had like an idea. I'd like you to play this weekend to like get a feel for the rhythm of things. So before you play on screen, if there's any questions you have, that we can write them down so we can make sure they get addressed. Like, because I have a bunch of ones that the community has asked us through our Discord, and I'll make sure we have those so we can go over things that we've already like addressed or issues and what we're planning to fix, all that kind of stuff. Because like we've said, it's amazingly beautiful. And it works well most of the time, right? Like, because everything that's in a beta works well most of the time. We can't always ascertain if there's like RPC issues or something that we've done wrong. So like, the more testers we have, the better. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been in our Discord and playing. We know there are people who are playing that are not engaging in Discord. We get it. Play, do your thing. But we do plan on adding additional functionality that will be only available to people who are participants in Discord, even if it's just to join and then never post again. The only way we can build a community is to kind of interact with each other. And one of the things that's kind of been kind of awesome is that we are able to build a community in so many different ways, like through being on your podcast with you, Andy, and then talking to Twitter Spaces and just talking to each other in Discord. I'd like you to get more of a feeling of the game, Andy, not tainted by someone who helps design it. If that makes sense.
It makes complete sense, and I will absolutely do that. I will dive into it head
I'm
first.
Sorry. I knew you would.
Yeah, 100%.
I knew you would.
So we'll do. I already have taken a little bit of a look, but I've been distracted by so many things. I feel like
I also said I'd send you stuff, and I never sent you stuff. So like, that's also really fair, and not like payment, guys. I mean, like literally, I have things set aside for him to like play the game because, like, I want him to be able to experience it. I'm not going to make him spend money to play the game. Like, would you make your friend spend money to play your game? Right? Like, so I said I would send him some stuff to make his gaming experience on stream nice. And I didn't do that either. So it's not just you, man. I also dropped the ball.
No, that's absolutely cool. And, I think a lot of people will appreciate that level of transparency as well, because it's no secret that, when people do the sort of things that I do, they do get, things like, at the end of the day, we see, oh wow! I've just seen a really dodgy tweet there that's on my screen right now. Jesus. So yeah, ultimately, people that do the sort of things that I do, will receive things for free. And the one thing I want to maintain is a level of transparency. So yeah, is there anything that you want to leave everybody with just now before we start signing off, Priest?
I help everybody that wants to play the game, and if you can't afford to play DeFi Tower because you can't afford to get any LP to stake, man, like, it's not just an offer to Andy. Like, I want people to play. I think if you play, you'll have fun, and you'd be willing to continue to do it. So, like, if you have problems, you need a little bit of help to play, I can give you enough LP to play, right? Like, you only need like one. It's like 25 cents. So it's not really a huge.
Oh, I think we lost you on the internet.
Build an interest, and they can't.
Oh, you're back.
God fucking damn it. But anyway, be good to each other. And if you want to play DeFi Tower, hit me up on Twitter, or you hit me up on Discord. Discord's discord.gg/DeFi Tower. I don't know. I try not to plug too much DeFi Tower stuff because I love it, but I don't want it to be an everyday thing where people get upset because the person who works for the thing keeps talking about it every day. But outside of that, join more Twitter Spaces, people. If you can go out there and do it, I have learned more about people who work in Harmony from joining Twitter Spaces than I have through reading anything anyone had ever posted on the forums. More interactions with Harmony people than I have had through any type of official channel via Twitter Spaces. So, Crypto Lamb, we want to be a podcast, just like Andy said. We want to have like a platform that's reliable. These Twitter Spaces are not reliable. Okay, they happen, they pop up, and you have to like be available to do it. So I don't really think that's fun or a really great way to share information, but that is the way it's working currently. So if you want to be involved, you want to learn more, that would be the way. Follow Andy on Twitter or follow myself, and if you see us in a Twitter Space, we might be learning something.
Absolutely. And, I'm going to look forward to when we get to do that show in the very near future. I am going to start signing off the show now, and we will see everybody on Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. UTC, where we will be back. I will let people know what that show is going to be ahead of time, if I can. Once we get more organised with the schedule and things, we will let people know. But we will be indeed back on Monday at 2:30 p.m. UTC. So whatever you are doing right now, wherever you are, make good decisions, be good people, be good to each other, and we will see you very, 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 very soon. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Ta-ta.
Wash down